Welcome to LIGHTBOB TV. We're episode 3 on this beautiful Wednesday. That means that I made so far 13 episodes. And today we're going to talk about how designers should work with lighting manufacturers. This is something that I hold at heart because I have been doing this naturally all my life. And when I work with people and I tell them, well, let's talk to manufacturers, there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect, or there is also a lack of collaboration. There's not many. There's not many communication. So I just want to help you to start thinking with maybe a new viewpoint on something that can help you to accelerate your projects, also your knowledge base, your network, and most of all, your knowledge on product. Because most lighting problems are not really design problems. Most lighting problem will come with our communication, and it's the communication between the designer and the manufacturers. And I keep it very simple: designer, manufacturer. But in reality, we know that there's all kinds of layers. There's agent manufacturers, there's distributors, there's agency. I mean, there's a whole spectrum of people that can fit in between the designer and the manufacturer. But nevertheless, the contact of designers and manufacturer needs to be strong so that these people understand that we have a relationship, and that relationship is what brought us to use that product or that line of product or develop a new product, and that the communication between us, the designers, and the manufacturers needs to be there. So there's no place really where you learn how to bridge that gap. There, when you go to school, I remember very rarely, manufacturer came to the school and start talking to us. I think in my 2 years master program, we did maybe 2 different factory visits, and they were very educative, but also very high level. We never had a chance to we visit the factory, we saw how it was done. But my experience in as when I worked before I went to school, when I was working for an agency, I probably visit over my career maybe 100 different manufacturers. And I work in some factory, I help some people, I build some factory. I mean, I know the whole process, and that's what I want to share with you. As a designer, what our main concern is very like how we're going to share this emotion. What kind of emotion we want? What is it that this space, this particular space, or that product, or that series of things that we want to get done? What's the emotion? And I mentioned something about it, but also let's say we're talking about a space. So which space will have which emotion, and then which space will have which function, and which space will have what's the hierarchy of the space, which one's important, which one is less important. And also the other thing we talk about as designers is what kind of experience we want. We want the users to feel this, to do this, to be welcome, or just to go by as quickly as possible because there's other things to do. And there's many other things that designers think that are somehow relevant or not to manufacturers, and it also give us a different level of understanding. When we talk with manufacturers, what they think is they think in terms of cost, like how much is this gonna cost? Uh, how much engineering does this thing takes to do? Uh, what are the constraints? Like what? It's funny. I was in California City, and we were talking with prefab manufacturers, and we realized that one part of the highway was just a double lane, and when they ship prefab house, they need two lanes. So that means that there would be a problem whenever they would wanted to ship house over there, prefab house, or to get material or ship them out. So these constraints are very important because let's say you're building a high rise and you got to bring your material at a couple 100 feet in the air, and then you don't have the proper equipment or you don't have the proper access, or you can bring it up there but then you got to bring it inside, and the path to bring it inside is not designed for it. So those are the concerns that manufacturers have. And also the other thing they're going to think is that before we invest into your projects or we develop something for you, what is going to be the repeatability? How can we use it for our own use? How often can we use it? Do you want a royalty? Do you want copyright and so forth? So all these things are part of questions that manufacturer thinks, and us as designers are not really part of our vocabulary or our daily you know uh, operation. So now when you think about it, there's no share language. There's nothing that ties us together. There's nothing that makes it work, or that makes it flow easily. And that's the purpose of this talk today, and also my series of webinar. Uh, like I said, I've been very privileged because I met a lot of manufacturers. I help a lot, and I have this natural way of thinking in terms of manufacturing. Like I told you previously, it's easier for me to design a product from A to Z than start looking into a catalog and say, oh, well, I want this and I want that. Oh, maybe I got to get in touch with somebody internally to see if they can modify this and do that and does this. Too much problems. It's easier for me just to start drawing it and then send it to different manufacturer and get it custom made. But that's me. Now, the reason why I came there was also because nobody ever taught me how to talk to manufacturers, and it was a very long process. And although I'm very curious, and I meet a lot of people, and I go out and I will travel hundreds of miles to meet one person or to go visit one factory, or whenever I fly into another country, who's around that I can go and see in my spare time. Not many peoples are like that. And also life doesn't give us all the luxury of doing this. Some people, you fly in, you get your meeting, you fly out, and that's it. Some people have family constraints. Some people have health constraints. Some people and manufacturers are only open certain time. And if you travel and you have free time in the weekend, they're not going to open the factory for you. So it is a very it takes a lot of willingness from both sides. It takes willingness from the manufacturing side and from the designer side. I mean, throughout my career, I was invited many times by manufacturers on different uh, uh, crews, the different seminars, different training workshop, different visit, and and some of them are sales oriented, some of them are educational, some of them are useless, and and this is time you never get back in your life, and you have to surf through that to find out which one really will help you, which one will really uh, help your career or the project that you're working on. And sometimes you start working with the manufacturers and boom, there's a change in management, and then suddenly the direction goes into another way, and everything you had done for years goes out the window. So it's important to be able to have different communication line, different step, different people, and see and try to foresee what's coming on and how it's going, and that will save you a lot of failure. And 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 when I say failure, I mean uh, like efforts that you put somewhere and you thought you would have this result, and unfortunately along the line your communication was not clear, and now you have to make compromise. So and what does that do to your design? Well, now you're the one who has to change and modify, and especially when you're dealing with a big order, and sometimes you have to justify to your client why is it so, because it will be you will have some situation where this product you were supposed to have, and then they switch the product because they don't make this one anymore. There was a misunderstood, there was a budget cut, whatever. And then what's happening is that when you deliver the project, you had promised this and that, and it's not that. So now you are in on the hot seat, your client's asking you question, and the manufacturer will not be there to help you. So that's why the relationship with your manufacturer is really important, and especially when it comes to hard decision. Now, how does it get there? Because as a designer, you're gonna think about the idea. You're gonna make some rendering. You're gonna send some concept. You're gonna use words like warm, soft, elegant, and then you know, and then you get a bunch of document back, some data sheets that talks about lumens, that talks about CRI, talks about pricing, talks about mounting, talks about, and then you're like, whoa, like there's a huge you know misalignment here, because you want this and they send you that, or they send you this, and it's very hard to communicate and get your your message, or get what you want, when you have to decide precisely how many lumen. When you have a feeling and you have an emotion and you have something you want to render, it's rarely done in foot candle. It's rarely done in lighting calculation. It's rarely done with a beautiful like graphic that says where your level of lights are. It's in your head. You have this thing going on. You sketch it out. You spend 4 hours making little detail on a hand drawn perspective, or you work with AI, and they can, and you finally got the right image to translate what you want to do, and then you have the manufacturing sending you, okay, I got it, but now this is what I need from you, and this is where you will see that, not only there's misalignment, but also the you know the manufacturer will want to bring you value engineering. They want to bring you like accommodation. They want to make sure that they deliver the proper thing. But for you, it's the opposite. For you, it doesn't serve any purpose except aggravates you, and then make sure that you don't understand, because it's not your vocabulary. This is not what you talk every day. This is not what you're used to do, and it's not because you're wrong or they're wrong. It's just because we're not aligned together, and this is where you know uh, creates frustration on both sides. It creates all kinds of disconnect and uh, and irritability, because now you're like, well, this designer, thinks he's God, or that manufacturer, is so stuck in their product that they don't understand what we're trying to create, and therefore. Um, your design, your award-winning design that you had in your head, is completely ruined because of the manufacturers. And the manufacturer thinks that you are a total lunatic because you can't answer a simple question. Which one? Which question? It's very simple. I ask for what CRI they want, or how many lumens, and I ask to validate a lighting calculation we did, and we never got this answer correctly. We never got a yes or a no. And I think you start to understand that it's not because one is right or one is wrong, or one is wrong and the other is right. It's because, first of all, we don't understand each other's, and and this is where I would like, and I came up with this concept of communication with designers and manufacturers and anybody that wants to hear about lighting, because that it is not complicated. It is not complicated. Designer have amazing teams. Sometimes they work by themselves. Manufacturers have amazing teams. Sometimes they have designer in house, and by finding the right terminal to communicate with, or most of the time you can probably start to talk the same language, and get things through, and get product, and get demonstration, and get question answered, or what you need get done, so that it translates into a beautiful product, and then you can start delivering the emotion that you wanted to deliver as a designer. So another thing that I realized that manufacturer care about, and they, right from the get go, you'll be submit to these parameter. Okay, manufacturers, they 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 have to drive reliability. Why? Because it's their name on the line. They have to make sure that everything they do is conform, it's approved, and so they don't want to cut corner. They also have all kinds of other characteristics. They have heat management, they have optics, they have cost per unit, lead time, scalability. So all of those terms that they it's their day-to-day language. It's not part of designers. And when you think about it, they most of the engineering and the thought is done for thousands of units. It's not done for one concept. Unless you go to a very specific artisan or custom make, custom manufacture, uh, custom lighting manufacturer that makes one of a kind, and that's it. But most of the manufacturer, they think in terms of a lot. And when you come in and you said, well, I want this and I want that and I want this little feather on top of it, it might not work. It might not work very well with the manufacturer. But if you start as a designer, communicate with your manufacturers, and you start with your basic effect. Well, I want some directional, or I want some general diffuse. So now they know that what kind of product you want to look. Then you're going to start talking about what's the layer. Are we talking about general lighting? Are we talking about accent? Are we talking about task lighting, perimeter lighting? So now you see, we went from this. Now we're getting to this, and then we're gonna try to bring it there. What is the intent that I'm doing? Is it something that I want to use to reveal a piece of art, or is it something that has to be beautiful and functional, that becomes part of the highlight of the project? And then, you know, what experience I want my user to have. Do we want to have like an intimate? So, and why is that important? Why do we talk about the experience? Because some fixture you may look and you may find are amazing, and they have amazing performance. They have amazing color rendering. But when you look at them, they're blinding. They blind you. And I'm not there to explain to you how the eyes works. There's a million video on YouTube, but the only thing you know is that it's very uncomfortable. Some fixtures will give you the option of having some kind of lighting management device, a snoot, a honeycomb, a different lens, etc., etc., and that will make this light that try to deliver this experience way more appropriate than another one. And if you don't have it, then you have to deal with all these problems. And by selecting the wrong light, it you can create your own problem. But when you talk to the manufacturer and you say, well, this is what we want to do. We want to have a very intimate place, and we want to just reveal um, a couple sculpture or a couple architectural details. And what we want it to be very, very, very bright and dramatic, but we don't want it to be in your face and glary. So they will know, and they will recommend you perhaps another manufacturer. It happened to me that they say, well, this manufacturer can do this type of light better than us. We don't do this. And they also know that, by sending you to the right person, or giving you the right catalog sheet, or helping you solve that problem, you will always go back, because they'll be the source. They'll be the one that help you. So that's why it's in their best interest to give you what you need and what you want. Um, Somebody that comes in and only talks about color temperature. Um, Again, as we saw when we talk about source, color temperature is further down the line. And it could be, depending on whose component and what manufacturer used them, and how they use the power supply. How there's a series of component alignment that can have the same chip work differently, meaning the chip, the LED. So again, if you only focus on that, then that you know you're not that this conversation's not going to end well with you, because let's say I have an amazing deal with a supplier ABC. And you're talking about what you're talking to me, you're talking about DEF. So, of course, my product is not equivalent to this product. But if we talk about warm or cold, I can match you all along this line. I can have all my other product match you along this line so that your design intent follows your vision and your delivery. So again, it's a simple terminology, and it will solve lot of a lot of problem because you will be able to communicate with your manufacturers in ways that nobody else can. And without being a super rocket scientist, you'll be able to get what you want and also get the answer from them that you do or they can't help you or they cannot. And if they're not, they know where to go because that's what they do every day. So when you start talking about, well, we want to have a soft light, warm feeling, we want to highlight the wall, then what do you think they think? They think, well, okay, so we need beam angle, we need distribution, we need also the mounting position, output. So you see, like now you bring to the table something that they can answer you with, and help you to deliver the what you need. So again, you'll be talking. Well, yes, I want to have these little arch very close. Okay, so all they do is they go on their computer software and they just put it closer, and then they're gonna say, okay, well, we're gonna end up with a hot spot. We don't want that. We want to have beautiful general distribution. So that means that we don't need as much power output as if we only put 4 lights. Now we're going to put 16. We don't need as much power because we just want to have a beautiful warm feeling and just highlight that wall, and we want it to be soft. Does that start to make sense? So we come in and we explain what we want in terms that are that are important for us, and they in their head and with their technical staff start to align the product that we need to create this beautiful effect. If I come in and I say I just want to light up the wall, that's a very vague statement, and vague statement create very technical guess. Well, I want to light up the wall. Okay, I can have one light that light up the wall. Well, that's not what I want. I want it, and then you see how it escalate and bring you in a place where you don't really want to be there. You don't want to be in that place where they have to guess. They have to send 75 email back and forth to finally realize, well, you know what? We changed our mind. We're going to put that's going to be a brick wall, and there's going to be something else. Okay, well, so all that time that you wasted, and it, sometimes you may not think that it's valuable, but your time is valuable, their time is valuable. So the more precise you are in your design intent, the better they can help you to resolve that challenge or that problem and come up with a suggestion. So instead of having this back and forth conversation, you try to describe what is the best of your knowledge and effect and emotion you want, and then you start sharing the vocabulary and add up some more in more refined details. That's what I would say. because and project will change, right? Project will evolve. Um, I had a I have an habit that, let's say I have a color constraint. I'm not sure about the color. Nobody's sure. They give me a color. Well, I will ask the manufacturer, what's the most complicated thing? Well, it's powder coat. It's this. It's that. Okay. Well, let's put that pricing in. And once I have more detail, at least I don't have to come back to my board or my client and say, oh, by the way, there's an upcharge for the color, or there's an upcharge for the finish. There's an upcharge for that. So that way I have a little padding, and I can work with my manufacturer. And also, if I turn around and I said, oh, by the way, now it's not satin bronze, or we just want to have it black, or we want to have RAL, XYZ. It gives me the latitude to turn around and not create conflict, and have a communication with the manufacturer, so that they there's no upset, or there's no need to be, well, you told me this and it's that, and this is more complicated, and it have to have two process, etc., etc. Keep it very, very streamlined. Clear intent gives you a better product selection. You'll never have the wrong product if you know what you want. But if you're guessing, well, guess what? You're gonna have tons of revision. You're gonna have tons of back and forth until something that is something that something that you want arrive. And everything I'm sharing to you comes from my own personal history. Um, and I had so many experience, even though I had some, most of them are good now, but it took me a lot of pain to come to that point. And that's what I'm trying to eliminate from for you, or give you the tool so that you have as less problem as possible. And just imagine now, okay, and that's where I'm going with this, is that you're running 5 projects, or you're running 1 or 2 projects. There's a certain tension there. Now imagine when you start having 25, 30 project. Imagine when you have 100 suppliers. Imagine when you are on 5 different continents. Imagine when you have junior, senior, and the electrician and the project manager, and all this noise around one simple conversation. It gets lost, it gets forgotten. You didn't read the memo, you didn't get the memo, you read it, you forgot to send it, you send it, the person was not there. I mean, it is a growing pain, managing large firm, and managing large team, and managing lots of projects. But there is, with communication, um, there is always it's way easier. It's way easier. People will understand you make a mistake. People will understand you didn't read the memo, and by communicating the truth, then you're golden. Hey, listen, I made a mistake. I put the wrong finish. Well, let me see what I can do. Can you put that in writing and send them back to me? Good, done. And then you, first thing you get an email. Well, after we review, you had this finish. Now you want to this, there will be no charge. Good. Put that in the file, or just transfer it or whatever. Send it to the clients and so forth. Communication, truth, and I mean, especially when you're doing multiple projects and multiple language, multiple language too, because I work with French, Spanish, and English. Uh, manufacturers, and sometimes, Google translate something, and I just have to make sure that what it translates, it's the right thing. Um, I mean, French and English, I don't have no problem, but when it comes to Spanish, I'm not. And what I found is that I found that a long time ago, but Spanish from South America is not the same Spanish as Spain. So again, consistency. You make sure that you understand each other. You think you're used to a certain type of vocabulary. You're used to a certain type of phrase, and it doesn't mean anything else. It doesn't mean the same thing into another country or another part of the world or in another nationality. So the result, what happened is, well, you get inconsistent lighting. You get lost of your brand identity because you try to build a brand all your life, and then suddenly, you arrive on this project and people look at it and say, okay, well, that's LIGHTBOB. Yes, I think he missed the boat on that one. And some people will be honest and some people won't, but the what inside, you don't. I don't need anybody to tell me that one of my jobs sucks, because I know, and I know where I went wrong, and sometimes it's just on. It happened. It happened. I did some job that I was not proud, and I was not. Sometimes, most of the time, was not even my fault. But I can honestly say that when I mess up, I do mess up. And it happens to me. I mess up orders. I mess up an effect, and I'll tell you, the worst one that I did was, I was lighting up a facade of red brick, and I had the idea to put some 1,000-watt metal halide with red glass filters. So I thought that will enhance the red and it will be beautiful. And it was in my earlier days in my career, and I had put a series of them because I knew that red was absorbing and so forth. And what happened is, the first few weeks it was beautiful, and then it started to see some white, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I took a scissor lift. I went up there, and the red filter glass that I added on were not tempered glass. And with the rain and the heat, they cracked. Some of them exploded, and several $1,000s were scrapped, and the effect looked like hell, and which could have been a good thing, but it didn't, because you had some red, white, and it that was not the intent. The first intent when we turned them on was beautiful, but after a while, when all the lens, they all cracked, all of them. So I had to redo filters, get them how do you call them, tempered, and reinstall them at my cost, because it was my fault. And yeah, these kind of thing happen. And the reason why it was my fault, because the manufacturer didn't want to do it. So I had special bracket design, I had special glass cut, and I sold the upsell to the clients. The clients said yes, they agreed. Everything conceptually was working, except in real life. And when I thought about this, the one of the outcome could have been very fatal, because if one of those piece of sharp glass would have cut the wind and start flying in the public, I could have hurt somebody. So I learned. I was not too proud, and after that, by going to trade show, I learned how other company does it. They used to sandwich it. They put it with metal inside, and there was all kinds of series of change that happened in my specification from that day on, because of what I've learned on that job. And again, the manufacturer it was not his fault. Even the glass manufacturer was not his fault. because I asked for glass, and I thought, well, it's outside, there's a gap, but 1,000 watt metal halide produce a lot of heat, and an outside factor like rain, well, it create that snap, and boom, it was done. So again, the idea is that, we need to align ourselves with um, with manufacturers. We need to communicate, and again, that could have been a case where there was a reason why the manufacturers didn't do, color lens, but I didn't bother. I had sold the effect, client loved it, and that was the end of it. So when, if you go through all these different iteration with manufacturers, revision, left and right, and then, it's for sure communication issue, and communication happen, you know very sometimes very smoothly, sometimes not that smoothly. When there's money involved, it is very sensitive, and then we know that, in some case, project will evolve, engineering will, evolve or get change, and it's important to keep up with it and start planning and make sure that we always in the loop, and once in a while, look and get in touch with people and make sure that they understand what we're doing, and that we are still on the same wavelength. So, like I said, communication. What do we talk what do we get out of this? Well, make sure that your design intent is clear, and manufacturers are not you. They don't define you. They'll do what they do, you do what you do. Make sure that they understand. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about design, and how lighting is shaping emotion, not just the visibility part of it. And yeah, thank you for being there. Thank you for